What's up, Brian Tong here. We have a whole lot going on with Apple Intelligence and some fresh news because Apple has officially said that new iOS 18 key features like Apple Intelligence, iPhone mirroring, and SharePlay screen sharing will not be coming to the iPhone, iPad, and the Mac in the European Union this September due to regulatory issues related to the EU's Digital Markets Act, which they allege forces Apple to downgrade the security of its product and services. So we will dive into that more in a second, but in an initial report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, he says that major Apple Intelligence features in iOS 18 won't be ready even in the US until 2025 anyways. Features like, hey, Genmojis, Image Playground, and the new writing tools, and many of the new in-app features, those will be available in September. But the most important parts of Apple Intelligence, like personal context, which pulls from all the information your phone knows about you, like photos, calendar events, messages, and other apps, that won't be ready until 2025. Semantic indexing, which creates an on-device semantic index to store all the data received from your emails, images, websites, and apps that you use, will not be coming in 2025. Also, app control, which allows Siri to control individual features in apps, like opening a specific document or change a specific setting without going into the settings, or maybe delete a specific email, and many other tasks, that won't be ready. And also on-screen awareness, which lets Siri understand what content is on screen and allows the user to take action on it. For example, if someone sends you a dinner spot via messages and then tells Siri to show me directions for it right at that moment, if this sounds like a lot of important features, it's because they are the foundation of how Apple Intelligence is supposed to work and almost act as an extension of your brain and think the way that you're thinking. And for the record, we don't know how good it really is, which is why I do think it's very intriguing. So we can only take Apple's word for it for now until we actually use it. Now, many of the new iOS 18 features will be ready, but the biggest feature that Apple claims will fundamentally change how we use our iPhone with Apple Intelligence, again, is not expected to come until 2025. Now, Apple's already claimed Apple Intelligence would only initially support American English, and support for other languages would not arrive until 2025. But this whole thing instantly changes my perspective on how this next iPhone upgrade cycle will go. You know, right after the announcement in the podcast I recorded, I talked about how it will be interesting to see if people will just upgrade their iPhone just for iOS 18, you know, to get access to their new AI features, because it does require an iPhone 15 Pro or higher. But now, if Apple Intelligence won't be ready to roll out until next year, why not just wait to make the upgrade in 2025? We know the iPhone 17 lineup is expected to get a more significant redesign alongside the ability to support Apple's AI features once they're fully baked in 2025. So as it stands with this news, for me, the next big upgrade shouldn't happen in 2024, but 2025 could really be that super cycle to upgrade with new iPhone hardware and Apple Intelligence ready to roll out. Of course, if you're perfectly happy with your iPhone right now, my advice has always been don't upgrade until you have to or unless you absolutely just want to. But now that we know all of this, does this change how you feel about making your next iPhone upgrade? Are you still doing it this year, or did you change your mind and you'll wait it out for 2025 now? Where are you at? Let me know in the comments because I actually read and respond to them. Okay, now let's get back to the new report with Apple officially saying Apple Intelligence won't be coming to the EU until 2025. Technically, Apple already said they weren't going to support other languages until sometime later in 2025. So would that have really made a difference when it came out to the EU? In an official statement to the Financial Times, Apple said that there will be a delay to figure out how to comply with the European Union's rules, and Apple does not believe that they will be able to have them ready for EU users this year. Now, let's give you a little background here. The EU's Digital Markets Act established a set of criteria to qualify a large online platform as a gatekeeper and ensure that those gatekeepers behave in a fair way online and therefore maintain a competitive market. Since Apple qualified as one of those gatekeepers with their closed-off ecosystem, it was forced to make changes for the EU, like opening up to third-party app marketplaces. So if you remember, in iOS 17.4 and beyond, users can now download apps from a third-party app store on the iPhone, which means Apple's App Store is no longer the only one-stop shop you go to get apps. Now in the EU, you can also download apps through third-party app stores that violate Apple's App Store previous guidelines, so their terms no longer control everything on your iPhone. Also, developers have reduced commissions that they have to pay Apple, and devs in the EU can now choose to use Apple's payment services or use a third-party system for payments outside of the Apple ecosystem. These are big changes that have been implemented only in the EU, not in the US. But even with all these requests, the EU believes Apple has not been fully compliant with the new legislation, and the iPhone maker's changes are not enough. And Apple can now possibly be fined for not complying. So there are a lot of things happening here behind the scenes between Apple and the EU. I mean, they're going at it. But remember, it was the EU's regulations that forced Apple to reluctantly make the move to USB-C, while most consumers were more than happy about it. So there is clearly a history of frustration and beef from both sides now, and the tension between Apple and the EU is not getting any better. But as it stands right now, Apple Intelligence will not be coming to the EU until 2025, and it might line up when the feature is ready for the US, but probably not. Bottom line, Apple is a business, and I don't believe that they're going to intentionally limit newer phones from their biggest software feature in a decade, Apple Intelligence, to the 27 countries that are part of the EU. That makes no sense at all because money. So we'll see how this all plays out, but now you know all of the details happening. And after all that, again, Apple Intelligence is still reportedly coming next year in 2025 to the US, and not with the iOS 18 launch in September of this year. All right, soak it all in. All right, let's take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Anker. Anker is known for their quality power banks and wireless chargers, and I've been using them for years. So check this out, the Anker MagGo wireless charging station 3-in-1 stand. This has the latest Anker wireless power IQ and Qi 2 powered charging pad, so you get 15-watt ultra-fast wireless charging speed for your MagSafe compatible phone. Now it's fully compatible with Apple's original MagSafe and is as fast as the original MagSafe charger. Charge your iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods simultaneously on one charging station. That's 3 devices all at once. You don't need 3 cords anymore, and it can make your desk cleaner and more organized. It has made for watch certification from Apple, and you can attach the anti-slip sticker to it that's in the box without compromising its functionality. The Anker MagGo 3-in-1 stand has a modern aesthetic that looks good with everything from a work desk as well as something alongside your bed before you go to sleep at night. It could even look like a decorative piece. The design incorporates household elements, so it not only looks like a charger, but also a home decoration. And the metal rod has even undergone a 3 polishing process for a very smooth surface with a high gloss metal texture. So check out the Anker MagGo wireless charging station 3-in-1 stand and visit the links below in the description for 30% off before June 23rd. All right, let's get back to the stories, and Apple has now explained the reason for the minimum iPhone 15 Pro requirement for Apple Intelligence. Now we know the feature only supports 15 Pro and higher, and then an iPad or Mac with an M1 chip or higher. I talked about the constant for all of those being a minimum 8 gigs of memory on all those devices for Apple Intelligence support. Now, in a recording of the talk show live from WWDC, John Gianandrea said, it's a combination of bandwidth in the device, it's the size of the Apple Neural Engine, it's the oomph in the device to actually do these models fast enough to be useful. So you could, in theory, run these models on a very old device, but it would be so slow that it would not be useful. Then with a follow-up, when asked if only supporting the 15 Pro was a scheme to sell new iPhones, Greg Joswiak responded with, no, not at all. Otherwise, we would have been smart enough just to do our most recent iPads and Macs too, wouldn't we? So the iPhone 15 Pro models use the A17 Pro chip that has a 16-core neural engine, and it's up to 2 times faster than the A16 chip in the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, performing nearly 35 trillion operations per second. So that, in combination with the minimum 8 gigs of memory requirement, does line up and make sense. You know, you'll still get all the new iOS 18 features, but it's the Apple Intelligence that won't be a part of it without the new supported hardware. And since we're talking hardware, look, a recent report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says Apple is going back to its thin era, and they're developing a thinner MacBook Pro, Apple Watch, and iPhone. Now, the report says their intention is to deliver the thinnest possible devices across their lineup without compromising on battery life and major new features. We saw exactly this with the new M4 iPad Pro, which is so thin that I couldn't get over it, but then once I put a case on it, I really haven't felt much of a difference. It's a little lighter, but the biggest complaint was, why are they making it thinner when we could have more battery? And yeah, I do agree, but at the same time, holding up the iPad Pro without anything on it, which is Apple's thinnest product ever at 5.1 millimeters and is even thinner than their 2012 iPod Nano, That's a damn impressive feat of engineering, and they even built a sturdy spine into the design to reduce any major bending issues. And guess what? Like I've said before, we haven't heard about any widespread bending issues happening with the new M4 iPad Pros unless you're trying to bend it. Now, this is their first product to show this rebooted direction for product design, getting thin again. Gurman says Apple is also focused on developing a significantly skinnier iPhone in time for the iPhone 17 lineup release in 2025. Now, The Information, that's a publication, has also reported that Apple's iPhone 17 model will feature a major redesign similar to the dramatic change that the iPhone 10 experienced. And this all lines up with why I am saying that 2025 looks to be that next super cycle upgrade for the iPhone. You know, we've also heard reports from Gurman that Apple has been planning to completely revamp the Apple Watch for its 10th anniversary, or simply the Apple Watch 10. A new report from Ming-Chi Kuo reports that this year's Series 10 will be thinner and come in a larger screen size than previous models. Kuo's report says the next-gen Apple Watch will increase from a 41 and 45 millimeter display option and go up to 45 and 49 millimeters with this new thinner design. That 49 millimeter display is also the same size as the current Apple Watch Ultra display, which is glorious, but the Apple Watch Ultra can be a little bulky for some people when using it as a daily watch. I mean, I've knocked it against a few things when using it, and hey, it happens, but to put it in a slimmer design is also compelling. You know, I've always upgraded when a new Apple Watch design launches, and if this is true, you know, I'll be getting a new one this year. But the biggest question mark for me is still around those earlier reports from Bloomberg that Apple is considering a new magnetic band attachment system. It reportedly allows the design to potentially be thinner, but if all my watch bands that I currently have, and I have a lot, no longer work with the new Apple Watch, I am going to go bad Apple bonkers. But I'll be patient. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Now, the earlier report also mentions the MacBook Pros are looking to get thinner as well, but that's not expected for the next generation with the M4 chip inside. According to display analyst Ross Young, we can expect the new MacBook Pro lineup in the fourth quarter of 2024 before the end of the year. You got the MacBook Pro and the Mac Mini that are both expected to get an M4 chip refresh this year, and we don't expect any major feature updates, just the chip mostly. You know, the long-rumored OLED display in MacBook Pros, those are not expected until 2026 at the earliest, so don't hold on to your butts. That won't be happening anytime soon. And even someone like me, I've kept my M1 Max MacBook Pro, which is still an absolute beast. I mean, it's honestly just that good, and there hasn't been a reason for me to upgrade anytime soon. I'm just waiting for the next significant jump in productivity for me because, look, when I'm exporting a 13-minute video and getting, less than 30 seconds faster on newer hardware, that just isn't enough for me to get a new upgrade yet. And I've said it before, but Apple legitimately made their chips too good. I mean, they're really good, really quiet, really power efficient, but I'm not complaining at all. It saves me money, but I'm just saying, they're really that good. And I know that there are still plenty of people who haven't made the jump to Apple Silicon, and that's who Apple really wants to target with these new refreshes. So, what do you think about Apple going back to its thin era? Are you happy about this, or you want as much battery life as you can get? You know what to do. Put them in the comments for me and let it all out because this is a safe space. All right, that's going to do it for this video. If you like what you see, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get all my latest videos when they drop. And if you want more of that Apple goodness, you can check out my weekly Apple Bits XL audio podcast with the latest stories and special guests. Plus, you can support all my content with an ad-free version of the podcast, early access to my content, and exclusive content at patreon.com/Brian Tong. All right, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace and love.